Happy fucking Monday from Daytona Beach, Florida. First of all, can we just talk about how there has not been a solo episode like this whole year? I've missed you guys, just being able to connect one-on-one and kind of share a little deeper about some of the things that have been going on this year. So this is just going to be like a solo catch up. I have a couple fun stories to share, and I'm coming live on a Monday. We're recording the pod. I'm going to do a beach workout. I'm going to lay out in the sun and just really relax this last day before having to go back home. I've been having so much fun with Chance as the co-host on the show. I love hearing from all of you guys about how much you're enjoying it also. Our listenership is up, which is so cool, especially on YouTube. So if you're not on YouTube, please go check it out. To search it, you got to do the @ Girl Stop Talking podcast. Subscribe, tell a friend. Let's get growing. Girl, stop talking. I'm not even like drunk. I've just been like drinking. Hey bitches, are you ready? Are you still talking? Girl, stop talking. I thought it'd be fun just to have a new change of pace and a new scenery and just catch you guys up on what's been going on with me. I know that I've shared that I'm studying to become a personal trainer. I'm not sure if I like really have talked about it on the podcast. There was a moment where I was going to, and what the fuck happened? And then I think I wanted it to be a surprise, and I ended up like releasing it on Instagram anyway. So if you didn't see that post, I am studying to be a certified personal trainer, online coach, women's holistic health and nutrition. So I'll be 4 times certified, hopefully by the end of this year, but the personal training certification will be done by May 1st. So I gotta get my ass in gear because your girl still is only about halfway done studying. That I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do with. The sound of like creating a whole new business right now just sounds like a lot of work, and like I don't know if I have the mental capacity to, well, like I know I could do it, but I'm not sure if I want to. You know what I mean? So we'll see where that takes me. For right now, I just felt like I needed to be doing something. Because this last year, or 2024, was really a transitional period for me. I realized that like lashing wasn't gonna cut it anymore. And I was in a lot of pain from breaking my collarbone about a year ago. And so I'm like, I need to do something different. And I've been in this nutrition program and I've fallen in love. And so I don't really know where it's gonna take me. I do believe that like I've kind of created these like 3 pillars of different things that kind of have the same underlying meaning, and I've really been trying to like better understand, you know, what it is that makes me so interested about these 3 different things in my life. And that was lashing, podcasting, and then the third one is the nutrition and coaching. And what I've kind of like come to, it's so funny how like the world works, right? Like we're doing all these things and we don't necessarily know like where they lead us, but there is an end goal. So it's almost like we're working ahead. This is what my personal experience. I'm like working ahead of myself, not really knowing where I'm gonna go, where this is gonna take me. But at the end of the day, I knew it was all meaningful for something, because like it was, what was the thing? There was a quote that my man said to me, and he's like, it doesn't matter what you do right now because everything you do is building you up to the person that you're going to be. And I'm like, wow, that shit really hit different. And so for me, I've created these 3 pillars, right? 3 different ways that I could have a business, make money, have residual income, passive income, whatever it is. And I've been really trying to like think, what do all 3 of these things have in common, and how are they going to like progress this momentum forward for me? And I think I figured it out, which is really cool. And this is before I get into that, I keep having these little side thoughts that I think are important. This is why I loved going to therapy, okay? And I haven't done therapy in probably like, oh my God, maybe like 2 years. It's been a little while. But this was like the thing about like talk therapy that I think people don't realize is so important, is it's not all about just talking to someone in the moment. Like, yeah, that's like 50% of it. But then like the progress and the realization that you get after the fact of talking and sharing and learning and them giving you tasks is really like the most valuable thing. You're able to like remove yourself from situations and really think kind of outside the box, or like a situation will happen and like you'll respond differently, and then you'll be like, oh my God, wait, it worked. So I kind of feel like that's where it has helped me, especially with work, because I was feeling so lost last year and just not knowing where this was going to go, what direction I was going to go in, what's next for me. And I finally figured it out. So the 3 pieces, the lashing, the podcast, and the coaching, the fitness, the health, the coaching, all of these things kind of underlie in encouraging people and helping people feel beautiful about themselves, or living in the best version of themselves. They all stand in like being motivation and encouragement. And I was applying for a job in the fitness industry. More to come on that. We'll see what happens. And one of the questions was talking about like connections, like what connections have you built with people, and how has that like changed or how have you been able to build on those connections? And I thought it was a really good question because it was super thought-provoking and made you think of, you know, how you deal with people, how you respond to people. And as I was answering the question, it reminded me of these letters that I got from my aunt. And she was a very religious person, a Christian. And so in Christianity, they call this like prophesying. Like basically a prophet is someone that like speaks, for lack of a better word, like greatness into people's lives, or like, I think spiritual people would call it like manifesting. They say, you know, but in the Christian community, it's like a word from God. And so whatever you believe, whether you believe in God and Christianity, or you believe in the universe and manifestation, my aunt kind of like wrote this manifest of like my life in these letters. And I still have them. I saved them because she's passed, but she had the most beautiful cursive handwriting, and they were written in sparkly pink glitter. So I've always thought I wanted to like create a tattoo out of it, but that's beside the point. In the letter, she specifically said, well, there were a couple of things, but the one that has stuck with me and that I was able to like reflect on when I was talking about all of this and trying to figure out like where I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be doing and how I'm gonna like take these things that I'm building and create something from them. And in the letter, it says, be the empowered, which was a great reminder because that is basically what helped me start my lash business. I was like empowering women for them to feel like the best about themselves. And that's immediate gratification. And then so with the podcast, like the podcast has changed a lot. I think you guys, if you've been following from the beginning, you can kind of see the change and the growth over probably just like the last year in general. I feel like I've moved out of like the sexual health and wellness space and kind of into more of just wellness and comedy. You know, I like to keep it light and fun and whatnot. But it's not so like sex focused anymore, which there will still be stories, don't get me wrong. But all of this is kind of tying together because I do feel like my place in the world is to like encourage and motivate people. And the great part about the podcast is I get to like connect in longer form, more one-on-one with everybody that listens. And it's just really exciting because I finally feel like I have some direction. which felt like it was very lost for quite some time. Okay, now let's get to the fun shit. Because I have some stories that I've been wanting to share. I've done a lot at the beginning of this year, which I didn't actually have like anything going on, but I feel like, what the hell did we do? We went to, like, the last month has kind of been crazy, along with being sick for like 2 weeks. It was like a bi-weekly sickness. I was like sick, then I was better. Then we went to Vegas, then I came back, then I was sick, then I was better. Then we went to Subtronics. That was like a 2-day event and festival. I've been better since then. Oh, another week or two went by, and then now here I am, spring break, Daytona Beach. And it has just been a whirlwind, but so much fun, and I'm like so grateful that I'm able to like experience these things. But now, after this weekend, we're taking a little break and just trying to lock back into my normal routines and schedule, because I am a girl of routine. So before we get back into just current day, I really want to share some stories from Subtronics. I was coming out of being sick, and I haven't been to like a bass head banger event like that in so long. It was so funny because a bunch of you were like, oh my God, I didn't even know you liked this kind of music. Listen, I can get down, okay? Give me some bass, give me a beat, doesn't matter what the music is, I'll get the fuck down. No, but this event was so much fun. The only thing is that all the music was the same. So like, you have to be interested in kind of like this heavier shit, like dubstep, wubby, wub music. And there's only so much of it that I can take at once, but Friday night was really fun. I stayed completely sober because I, again, was coming out of a sickness. I didn't want to I started feeling better, but I didn't want to fuck myself up and like just drink and be hungover and whatnot, whatever. Also, I hadn't been drinking this year. This is a side note. Like, I didn't drink all year until we went to Vegas. That was my first like splurge. And then the second day of Subtronics, I did have a couple of drinks. I think I had like 3, but really not a lot. But I really wanted to talk about day 2, because this is something that I love about the raving community. And this is like maybe a little more niche than I think most of you guys. I'm not sure if you guys are into raving. Let me know if you are. Like, drop it in the comments if you're a raver and what kind of music, the EDM music, you love listening to. Even if you're not a raver, like, let me know. I'm curious. We're going to see what niche of people I'm talking to, and if you guys even really care about the story. But you will, because there's like a good message. I'm just like so proud of the raving community, because most people, I mean, the whole community is based off of like loving and respecting people. That's like PLUR is peace, love, unity, and respect. It's the acronym that like this community is built on, okay? And it's, people genuinely care, and I think, you know, a lot of members in the community, they know that people are going to be fucked up and doing drugs at events like this, and they have since gone out of the way to create nonprofit organizations such as, oh my God, I'm like blanking on it. It'll come to me, but there's this organization where they teach you how to like do CPR and give like Narcan. So if you go, oh my God, it's driving me crazy that I can't remember the name, but basically Narcan is if someone overdoses, they have these like, they're like little samples of it. They're like 1 dose samples, and you, at most bigger festivals, they have events and you can go there, you can get CPR certified, and through the certification, they give you doses of Narcan in case you're in a situation where something crazy happens or someone's overdosing. And I'm seriously getting goosebumps right now. I have never been in a situation where I've seen someone like overdose in front of me until Saturday night at Subtronics, okay? And I've been raving since I was 14. I'm about to be 30 this year. So almost 15 years of raving. And I have never seen something like this. You've seen people fucked up or like sitting down, but I've never seen someone like hit the floor and start seizing. Actually, I guess now that I'm talking about it, that's not true, because when I went to that rave, the Halloween rave, dressed as Sexy Patrick, a girl did hit the floor and start seizing, but her and her boyfriend both said that she has epilepsy, so I'm not sure if it was from the drugs or if it was just from the diagnosis of the epilepsy. Either way, this was like legit, okay? So we're standing in the crowd, dancing, having a good time, and then all of a sudden you start to see like eyes, like people are like, what's going on? And this person was like 1 to 2 people in front of me, literally drops, hits the floor, starts seizing, like body tensing up, shaking. Everybody's kind of standing around like, what's going on? What's happening? Is he okay? And to the point that I kind of like stepped in. I didn't have the Narcan, listen, but now like over the last couple of years of being at EDC and everything, I've thought about wanting to get CPR certified and having it because of situations like this. You can literally, quite literally save someone's life. Like, you have to think, you're in the crowd with a bunch of people. If you are properly prepared, you could literally save someone's life before like EMTs are able to like find this person. So what ended up happening, this guy hit the ground, he started seizing. Everybody's like huddling around like, what's going on? Tons of eyes. And some guy, thank God, literally had these little Narcan sprays, turns him onto his side and shoots him up with the Narcan. You're supposed to wait a little bit. And I'm like, is anyone going to get help? And this is the other thing, is I think in most situations like this, everybody always thinks that someone else is going to do it. Don't sit around and think. If you see something, say something. Like, isn't that a saying? If you see something, say something. It goes for a drug overdose, domestic violence, whatever the fuck. But so I took it upon myself. I'm like, has anyone going to get help? Everyone just kind of twiddling their thumbs, looking around, whatever. Nothing happened. They ended up hitting him with another dose of Narcan. While I was gone, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. I'm like cutting through the crowd. Excuse me. I asked, well, before I did that, one of the guys had this like light up mask. And I was like, hey, do me a favor. Put your mask in the air like a totem and put it on so that we have like a signal of where to get the EMTs to, or so that I can find you a little easier. He's like, okay, that's a great idea. I ended up dipping through the crowd. We were like at the front in the fucking middle. So, you know, it takes time to like get through, weave through people. So I'm like going through, I go to one of the vendors. I'm like, hey, there's a guy, they've dosed him with Narcan. He had a seizure. We think he's overdosing. I'm not sure what's happening, but you see that mask over there in the crowd. That's where we're standing. Can you please send paramedics? And then if the guy is okay, then we can like walk him and see what ends up happening. So I end up walking they're like, okay, we got it. It's going to take a couple minutes, but end up walking all the way back into the crowd, find the guy's standing up. I'm like, oh my God, this guy just saved his fucking life. Told everyone else that the paramedics are on the way. He's like came to, everything looks okay. I seriously think he like may have even soiled himself. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe that's TMI. I guess I didn't have to put that in there. But like it was legit, okay? He ended up like standing up. The one guy who gave him the Narcan was like, hey dude, like where are your friends? Like what did you take? This is what just happened. What's the last thing you remember? Asking him all these questions. The guy's like, I'm here by myself. Like literally at an event by yourself doing drugs and ODing. Like, and it's like crazy to me. Obviously, like, I feel like most people, if you're like in this community and you're partaking in the drugs, you are afraid of these moments. And I think that's like why a lot of people in this community don't do drugs at events like this, because you just never know what could really happen or what you have is dosed with. And, I think it's a little counterintuitive for most people for this like company to be giving out Narcan, but in general, like what they're doing, like people are going to do what they want to do regardless. And so they're helping control and contain the situation and giving people, safety as best as they can, because it's like trying to tell a teenager what to do. Like you can't tell them what to do. They're going to find a way to do it. Like we're adults, So it was just crazy. The kid ended up getting up. walking through the crowd. They're met up with the paramedics, and at that point, I don't know what happened. But in that moment, I was just like, I looked around at everyone standing there, and I was like, okay, people, good fucking job. Like, way to work together. Like, everybody deserves a pat on the back right now. That shit was crazy. Like, I'd never been in a position where someone's life was like at risk right in front of you, and it just makes you think a lot differently of like being safe. And I don't know, I thought that was a crazy story. You know what's also crazy is that was the first person that happened to that night. We ended up moving into a different part of the crowd, and some guy, I don't think he was ODing, it was a little less serious, but he was super fucked up to the point where he was like laying on the floor with his eyes closed, and we were like, bro, like, we got to get someone over here. It's just like one thing after another, and I'm like, why am I always the one to try and fucking help people? I'm like, I don't know. I just think, I'm like, if this was my child, that's like such a mom answer. I would want someone to help me. It's good karma. It's good fucking karma. That's what it is. I helped save someone's life. And you know what's fucking crazy is someone saved my life once. I don't know if I feel like I've told this on the podcast, but I'll just do like a quick recap. So Jasmine, one of my girlfriends, she literally had to do the Heimlich maneuver on me because I was choking on a piece of a sucker in the back seat of a car. We were coming home from Talking Stick after a pool party. This is probably like 5 or 6 years ago. This was a while ago. It's really crazy to like talk about time because I'm like, it was before I met Zach, that's okay. Never mind. I digress. What was I saying? We were leaving Talking Stick. We got into our friend's car. We were going to Old Town because naturally, you know, that's what you do if you're having a weekend drinking bender. You day drink at Talking Stick, and then you go to dinner in Old Town, and you end up staying out there until like all hours of the night in your fucking bathing suit on like a Sunday, whatever. So we're driving in the car, and Jasmine and I are in the back seat. I had like a hard candy sucker, like a Tootsie Pop, for instance, or like a Blow Pop. And I'm like sucking on it. We're like dancing, the music's on in the back. And then I bit it and like sucked in to like breathe, I guess. And a piece of the sucker lodged into the back of my throat. And I remember being like, no air, like trying to breathe, not getting the complete blockage in my airway. I was like, Then the panic set in, and I just remember like whacking Jasmine so hard on her leg, being like, and then blacked. Everything went black. Like literally I was choking on a fucking sucker, bro. That's crazy. You would think it would just like melt, but how quick would it melt in your mouth? Like quick enough to like breathe before you pass out, you know? So literally I was like whacking her leg sitting in the car, and then I heard her say like, pull over, she's choking. Then I blacked out. I don't know what happened. Well, I had to get out of the car, so I'm assuming Jasmine like opened the door and like pushed me out of the car. And then the next thing I know, she was literally giving me the Heimlich on the side of Scottsdale Road in Hayden. She was like giving me the Heimlich, and then all of a sudden I like drool and this piece of sucker comes out and I can breathe again. But it like getting out of the car, don't remember, completely blacked out. I don't know who opened the door. I don't know how she got me out of the car. I just remember her being like, pull over, she's choking. And then I've like felt her doing the Heimlich on me, and then I could breathe again. And in that moment, like the rest of the night, I was like, bro, I almost just died via sucking on a blow pop. Like, there are so many better ways to go out. So I say this story to say that someone saved my life once. Thank you. I've like dedicated saving other people's lives since then, is basically what I'm trying to say. It's good karma. You never know. You never know when you're gonna choke on a piece of ice and black out and die, okay? Oh man, what else is going on? Okay, do you have one story? I'm gonna save like the sex story for the next week when Chance and I get back together, because I do love having Chance on the show because the banter is like so good. Having someone to like react to your stories and just like be involved and engaged in like the sharing and the storytelling is so much better. So you're gonna get a sex story next week. Don't worry. I wanted to talk about this trip a little bit that I'm on. I know I mentioned it's like half work, half play. We had like this event, this gala here at the hotel for this company that my man works with. And it was like a client appreciation dinner. And okay, this is like, I was a little annoyed with, I'm like, what is the attire to this situation? Because I was told like a couple of different things. I was told cocktail hour, I was told semi-formal, and then I'm like, who do I need to talk to like give me an appropriate idea of what I need to wear? My man made a comment about like the guy who's throwing this, saying like his wife was gonna bust out her diamonds. And I'm like, her diamonds? I look at my man and I'm like, okay, that's great. You must have my diamonds somewhere, right? Like, because I can't find them. And so I'm sitting here like, okay, do I need like a full-on gown for this event? And this is what you get for having to deal with two men making plans, okay? I had asked this question to my man like 3 times and their coordinator of like the business, and we ended up with semi-formal. So I'm like, semi-formal? I don't have anything semi-formal. Like, what the hell am I supposed to wear? I need to go shopping. I go shopping, I get this beautiful, gorgeous gown, okay? And I got 2 other dresses that were like more cocktail style dresses. The red one, which I ended up wearing, I'm sure you guys saw. And I had like this black one too. The gown I was originally supposed to wear was like floor length, tan with black lace down the whole thing. Tits out for days, back out. I love the open back because I have my tattoo back there. I want to show it off as much as I can. It was expensive and it fucking hurt, so I got to make it worth it. And it was just gorgeous, and I wanted to wear this. And then I'm here and I'm getting ready upstairs, and we had a perfect view to like where the cocktail hour was, which thank the Lord, because your girl would have shown up in a full fucking ball gown. Everyone was just in like a classic cocktail dress, not semi-formal. And I even felt like my like cocktail dress was like a little step up. I would have been so embarrassed if I walked down there in a full fucking gown. I mean, I get it's better to be overdressed than underdressed, but it'd be like, okay, girl, who are you? And who do you think you are? So I ended up going with the red dress, which was still a fucking moment and a full fucking sleigh. But I want to talk a little bit about like my relationship, and I love my man so much. And honestly, like being on this trip and like really getting to spend some like quality time with each other away from like the kids and the distractions of life, it's been so nice. And like more and more times than not, I realize like how grateful I am to be in the relationship that I'm in, especially when like hearing about other people's relationships or just seeing how like people closer to me like move within relationships and the things that they're allowing to happen and continuing to deal with. I just like continue to feel so grateful for this relationship being so easy. And it's not to say that like we haven't had hard times, because we definitely have, but it just makes it even better knowing that like we've been able to move through those times in the most healthy way possible. And I don't think a lot of people can say that. But with that being said, sorry, got all like gushy mushy on you guys. That's like a whole other episode that I have been thinking about creating. Maybe a little mini series that I'll do, just like an encouragement episode on how to handle relationships and understand what you deserve. So keep an eye out. But we've been talking about like these titles, right? the most often thing that I get from people once they find out how long Zach and I have been together, they're like, oh my God, so like, are you going to get married? When are you going to get married? No ring on your finger? And I'm like, no ring, not yet. And Zach and I have talked about that, obviously. Like we're going on, I think we're like 5.5 years right now, which is kind of crazy. So it's not for a lack of fucking time. Waiting. No. But it is interesting, like these societal standards that we all have that have been so ingrained into us and into our lives that it's like, oh, you guys have been together for so long, like, why aren't you married? That's obviously the next step. I'm like, listen, we don't even live together, okay? Like, Zach and I have a very untraditional relationship, which I honestly love because I've realized as I've gotten older, like, how I view some of those things have changed so much, especially with marriage, which is also another topic for another time. But we've talked about these like titles, right? Like husband, wife, girlfriend, fiance, and my man, he does not want to be called a husband. And I'm like, that's kind of annoying, but okay, I'm open to understanding why, like, where does this come from? What does it look like? He does not want to call me wife. He wants to call me his domestic partner. I'm like, that's like for the gays, okay? Can we, and do your thing, brothers and sisters. But I'm like, we're not a lesbian couple. I don't want to be your domestic partner. I'm like, I rather you call me, put a ring on my finger and call me your lover, but the ring's gotta be there to call me your lover. Otherwise it just sounds like your mistress, and I don't want that title either. I've dealt with enough men trying to make me their mistresses, or their mistress. Not saying I have, because I haven't, but they be out there and they be trying. Excuse me. So we've like, my man has this whole thing where he's like, well, I don't want to call you my wife. Like if I tell my friends like, oh yeah, my wife, they're gonna be like, oh dude, you got one of those? You got yourself locked in again? He's like, but if I walk up and being like, oh yeah, my lover, they're gonna be like, oh, your lover? Who's that? Men are so funny to me. So I say this to say that when we walked into this event, I'm like, oh, I wonder how he's going to introduce me, because some people just refer like, oh, your husband. Like when we've been in like professional settings like this before, they will like be talking to me and refer to Zach as my husband. And I'm like, that's so funny. That's so funny because there's no ring on my finger. And so when we get into this event, we're meeting all these doctors that he works with and whatever, and this one girl comes up to him and she's excited to see him, and I'm like, okay, weird. She's like, oh my God, Zach. Oh my God. And she like jumps and then just like hugs him, and I'm like, she's like, you look just like your Zoom. And I'm like sitting there like, hello, babe, are you gonna fucking introduce me? Zach, he goes, oh, this is Tatum. I'm like, oh yeah? Just this is Tatum? It's like that meme where it's like, blink, blink, blink. I'm like, oh, I wonder if just Tatum is gonna suck your dick later. Probably not. And he usually introduces me as his woman or his girl or his lady or something like that. But I think maybe he was like feeling a little stressed because I was not running late. It's a cocktail hour. I feel like we're cocktail hour. You can show up at any time but within the hour. And I was down there at 35 minutes in. So I think he was feeling a little time pressure, which he seems to get a little razzled up over. He wants to be there like on the dot when the doors open. I'm like, we're not gonna walk in there at 5 and be 3 people, like me, you, and one other person. I'm not doing that. We're gonna be fashionably late. So I think he was feeling a little stressed, but I noticed like he hadn't introduced me as anything that whole time we were there. And so we were talking to this one girl that was like so excited to see him. And like, I do, normally I'm not a jealous person, okay? I was kind of thinking that it was funny because I'm like, I was like just a little weirded out. Like, oh, I don't get a title when you're introducing me to your like doctor friends. Hello, I want to feel important, like these doctors. I'm like, I'm just a girl that talks about sex online. The least you could do is introduce me as your woman. Especially this one girl who's like all over you. We're like standing talking. She was there with her man, which he was like very quiet and to himself, but it was interesting because, and I get it. Like some people are just excited. Some people are flirty people. I like to think I'm a flirty person also, but she was like touching his arm, squeezing his arm to my man. And I'm like sitting here like, this is so cool. Like holding everything in to not make a very like direct, inappropriate joke, because normally I'd be like, oh my God, it's like you want to fuck my man or something. Do you want to be a third? But I'm like, okay, you got to tone it down, tone it down, tone it down. Do not react, take a deep breath. Don't even make the joke. And instead, I did something even worse because I completely made myself look like a jealous girlfriend. All the arm touching kind of got to me, and she asked me a question where she was like, what did she say? It was kind of like a weird question, and I remember thinking like, I'm not really sure how to respond to this. She was like, so what are you doing here? What do you guys do together? Or something like that. And I was like, well, I am his girlfriend. I know he didn't introduce me that way, but and she's like, oh no, like I assumed that. And then the guy is like, her man and my man were like, what? No. And he starts like backing up like, I totally did. I'm like, blink, blink, blink. No, you didn't. You definitely did not. Anyways, we all laughed about it. I like rolled it off my shoulder, and I was just like making it clear because I'm like, girl, catch me outside. How about that? Catch me outside of this business professionalism, and you'll really get a piece of my mind. I don't know. I was like thinking about that situation, and it was funny because later in the night, like when we had a moment to ourselves, I was like, oh my God, she is all over you. She wants you. And my man's like, no, she doesn't. You're ridiculous. Like, I don't know are you just playing dumb? Because he was like, no, she's here with her man. And I'm like, yeah, like, are we not listening to the same body language? Are we not seeing the same thing? I'm like, she literally was giddy jumping up and down to hug you. And I'm like, what exactly have you done for her? Huh? No. I literally sound like a jealous bitch. No, and I believe like there's nothing going on. Like that's not what I'm saying. But I did think it was funny, and we have like a lot of banter, and we're very sarcastic in this relationship. So I definitely get to use that and put that in my back pocket and use it against him later down the road, which is going to be great. And later I told him, I was like, she wants a piece of you. Oh my God, I forgot the best part of this fucking story. The night before all of this happened, I literally had a dream that like these girls were out here trying to steal my man. And then so this was the next morning, and Zach was like giving me so much shit throughout the day. He's like, babe, you better watch out. Like that girl in the restaurant, she's looking like she wanted to swoop me up. And I was like, oh my God, stop, it's not funny. And then this happens where like literally this girl, she wants him so hard. She gets a little tipsy, I could tell. And then later in the night, she's like, oh my God, are you going to be here for the rest of the week? We should totally hang out. And then backtrack. Well, I mean, like not hang out, but like do business. I'm like, no, yeah. What kind of business are you going to do? And you know what? On that note, maybe we should just end it right there. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. The jealous girlfriend. Okay. This was my little catch-up this week. I hope you enjoyed the view and the story time. Thanks for listening, and make sure you tell a friend. Subscribe on the YouTube. If you're listening, take a picture and share and tag me. I love seeing your guys' tags on the episodes. And Also, like, leave a review. A lot of you DM me and tell me like how great you love the episode. If you could just take that little DM that you want to send to me and put it, like, Spotify, you can leave comments, Apple, you can leave reviews, and YouTube, you can leave comments on the YouTube. Any review helps. You can leave multiple on Apple Podcasts. That would be great. And please just the more like action on the episodes in these platforms helps monetize the show, so it works so much better for me than the DMs, although I will always take your DMs. And I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll be back next week with Chance, and we will probably do our own catch up. It's been a couple weeks since we've seen each other. Bye.
Are you still talking? Girl, stop talking.